I thought I knew my wife of 8 years. Then at a crowded party, I overheard her tell her friends she was sick of married life before leaving with another man, laughing as they walked past me. What happened next would reveal a double life of betrayal that had been going on for 18 months. But when she tried to take everything I'd built, she discovered one brutal truth. A man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous opponent of all. My name is Daniel Foster. I'm 36 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was just your average Joe living the American dream in Phoenix. Decent house in the suburbs, respected position as sales manager at Foster and Sons Auto Dealership. Yeah, my dad started it, and I worked my way up. And what I thought was a rock-solid marriage to my wife of 8 years, Rebecca. Rebecca is beautiful, ambitious, and 10 times smarter than me. That's not false modesty, it's just fact. When we met, she was just starting out in real estate. I watched her climb from assistant to one of the top-selling agents at Crown Realty. I was damn proud of her success. Maybe too proud to notice how much she'd changed. The first real sign came last Thanksgiving. We were hosting both our families, and I was manning the grill out back when I overheard her talking to her sister on the deck. Sometimes I feel like I'm sleepwalking through my life, she said, swirling her wine glass. Same house, same routine, same everything. Her sister asked, "But you love Daniel, right?" There was a pause. Too long of a pause. "Of course," Rebecca finally answered, but her voice had that hollow ring to it that makes your stomach drop. I should have walked over right then, should have said something. Instead, I flipped the stakes and pretended I hadn't heard. That winter, Rebecca started working later and later. Real estate is demanding, especially at her level, so I didn't question it. I'd come home, heat up dinner, watch whatever game was on, and fall asleep before she got in. Some nights, I'd wake up at 2 a.m. to find her side of the bed still empty. When I'd text, she'd reply that she was closing a deal or networking with clients. In February, she started a new gym routine. Suddenly, my wife, who used to groan about walking the dog, was hitting some fancy health club downtown 5 days a week. She bought new workout clothes, changed her diet, started talking about finding herself in personal growth. Again, I was supportive. Hell, I was happy for her. When you've been with someone for nearly a decade, you want them to feel fulfilled, right? Then came the password changes on her phone, the hushed conversations that stopped when I entered the room, the mysterious weekend seminars that she couldn't quite explain when she returned, sunburned and tired. Looking back, I was an idiot, a trusting, loyal idiot who couldn't imagine Rebecca would ever break our vows. Even when Mark, my buddy from the police department, gave me that look over beers one night and said, "Everything good with you and Beck?" I brushed it off. "Never better," I replied, choking down my beer and the knot of doubt that had begun to form in my throat. But deep down, I knew something was slipping away. I just never imagined how it would all come crashing down at Dave Wilson's housewarming party on a warm night in April. A night that started with cheap champagne and ended with the death of everything I thought I knew about my life. Dave Wilson's housewarming party was in full swing when I arrived. I'd been stuck closing a deal on a custom F-150 for one of our VIP customers, the kind you don't rush even if your wife is texting that you're embarrassingly late to the biggest social event of the spring. I spotted Rebecca immediately, holding court by the outdoor bar. Her real estate sales smile was on full display as she chatted with a group that included her assistant, Megan, and several people I didn't recognize. She'd worn that red dress I bought her for our anniversary, the one that cost more than my first car. I grabbed a beer and made my way over, nodding to familiar faces. Mark, my police buddy, raised his glass from across the yard. He had that look again, concern mixed with something else. I should have paid attention. "There he is," Rebecca announced as I approached, her voice carrying that artificial chirp it got when she was 3 drinks in. My husband finally decided to join us. I leaned in for a kiss. "Sorry I'm late. Big sale." Rebecca turned her cheek to me. "Daniel, you remember Jason Blackwood, right? He's developing that new luxury complex downtown." A tall guy in an expensive suit extended his hand. His grip was too firm, his smile too white. "Foster, good to finally meet you. Your wife talks about you constantly." "Funny," I replied, keeping my voice level. "She's never mentioned you." The group laughed uncomfortably. Rebecca shot me a look that could freeze hell. I excused myself to grab another beer. From the cooler, I watched Rebecca lean in close to Megan. They were partially hidden behind a potted plant, but I could still hear them clearly. I swear, Meg, Rebecca said, her voice dropping to that conspiratorial tone. I'm so sick of this married life routine. Same house, same conversations, same dull routine night after night. Megan giggled. Girl, you need some excitement. Tell me about it, Rebecca sighed, then caught sight of Blackwood across the yard. Maybe I'll find some tonight. My grip tightened on the beer can until it crumpled. Ice-cold liquid ran down my hand, but I barely felt it. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Rebecca sauntered over to Blackwood, touching his arm, laughing at whatever he whispered in her ear. Then they were walking toward the door, her hand on his back, her head thrown back in laughter. Mark appeared at my side. Dan, you seeing this? I nodded, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. You want me to stop them? Mark asked, his cop instincts kicking in. I straightened my shoulders. Number, let her show her true colors. I stayed at that damn party for another hour, making small talk while my marriage crumbled in real time. When I finally left, Rebecca's car was gone from the driveway. So was Blackwood's Maserati. I drove home alone, the radio off, the only sound the blood rushing in my ears. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to be anybody's fool, not even for the woman I'd spent 8 years loving. I didn't sleep. How could I? I sat in our living room with the lights off, a glass of Jack Daniels in my hand, watching headlights occasionally sweep across the walls as cars passed by. Each time I wondered, is this her? At 5:47 a.m., I heard the purr of Rebecca's BMW pulling into the driveway. I remained perfectly still, listening to her fumble with her keys at the door. She staggered in, hair disheveled, makeup smudged, still wearing that red dress, now wrinkled beyond recognition. When she flipped on the light and saw me sitting there, she jumped. Jesus, Daniel! What are you doing sitting in the dark like some psycho? Rebecca snapped, dropping her purse on the counter. I took a slow sip of whiskey. Where were you, Rebecca? She rolled her eyes, kicking off her heels. Out? With friends? Not that I need your permission. Friends? I repeated, my voice steady. Would that include Jason Blackwood and his luxury condo? Rebecca's face hardened. Are you spying on me now? Don't need to spy when you parade around in public like what we have means nothing. I set down my glass carefully. Did you betray me with him? That's none of your business, she said, grabbing a water bottle from the fridge. I stood up, my full 6'2" frame towering in the kitchen doorway. It's absolutely my business when my wife disappears from a party with another man, doesn't come home all night, and then walks in at dawn looking like she's been through a hurricane. Fine, yes, I was with him, Rebecca shouted, throwing the water bottle at me. I caught it midair without flinching. And you know what? It was amazing. The kind of night I haven't had since we were dating. The words hit like bullets, but I didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me bleed. Why? I asked simply. Because I'm bored, Daniel. Bored of this house, bored of this routine, bored of you. She was pacing now, gesturing wildly. Jason makes me feel alive. He has ambition, excitement. And I don't, I cut in. I've built a business, provided for us, been faithful. Oh, Saint Daniel, she mocked. So noble, so dependable. You know what dependable feels like after 8 years? It feels like death. I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman wearing my wife's face was a stranger. When did you become so cruel? I asked quietly. When I realized I was wasting my life with someone who would never challenge me, she spat. I nodded slowly, decision crystallizing. Pack a bag, Rebecca. I want you out of this house by noon. She laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. You can't kick me out. Half of this is mine. We'll let the lawyers sort that out, I replied, walking to the door. I've already called Brian Milton. He'll be expecting your attorney's call. Her face paled. You're bluffing. I opened the front door, car keys in hand. Try me. Mark found me at the shooting range that afternoon. I was emptying clip after clip into paper targets, each shot precise and controlled despite the storm inside me. Figured I'd find you here, he said, leaning against the partition. Took your advice on that Glock 19. Sweet action. I lowered my ear protection. How'd you find me? I'm a cop, remember? Mark grinned, but his eyes were serious. Called your dealership. Jenny said you took the day off. First time in what, 3 years? I reloaded methodically. Had some personal business to handle. Mark nodded. Rebecca? Gone. I squeezed the trigger. Bullseye. Told her to pack up and leave. Damn, Mark whistled. You okay? I set down the gun and turned to face him. Number, but I will be. We headed to his cruiser, where he handed me a coffee. So what now? He asked as we sat watching the parking lot. Now I protect what's mine, Mart, I replied. Called the bank this morning. Moved half our savings to a separate account. Changed the locks. Called my attorney. Mark raised an eyebrow. You've been busy. I'm not letting her blindside me twice, I said. She wants out? Fine, but she's not taking my dignity with her. My phone buzzed. Rebecca. I declined the call. She's been blowing up my phone, Miss Pump, I explained. First angry, now panicking. Seems Blackwood doesn't want damaged goods at his penthouse. Her problem, not yours, Mark said firmly. As we talked, a black Mercedes pulled into the spot beside us. My father stepped out, his face grim. Daniel. He nodded to Mark. Officer Henderson. Mr. Foster, Mark replied, then to me. I'll give you two some space. Once Mark left, Dad leaned against the car. Rebecca called your mother. She's hysterical. Let me guess, I said, crossing my arms. She's the victim in her version. Dad's weathered face cracked into a rare smile. Actually, your mother hung up on her, told her she should have thought about consequences before throwing away a good man. Something like pride swelled in my chest. I'm filing for divorce, Dad. He clasped my shoulder. I know, son, and I want you to know the dealership's yours, 100%. I'm not having that woman take half of what our family built. Dad, you don't have to. It's done, he interrupted. Paperwork's with Stewart. You just focus on rebuilding. As he drove away, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. Thanks for letting Rebecca go. She's a wild one. J. My blood froze. Blackwood was taunting me. I stared at the message, something cold and resolute settling in my core. Game on. That text from Blackwood burned in my mind as I drove to the dealership the next morning. I'd slept maybe 3 hours, but adrenaline kept me sharp. The showroom was already bustling when I walked in, shoulders back, game face on. Morning, boss, Jenny called from reception. You've got a delivery in your office. I found a massive arrangement of lilies on my desk, Rebecca's favorite. The card read, Let's talk. I made a mistake. ERR. I dropped the flowers in the trash and called Milton, my attorney. Brian, Daniel Foster, what's the status on those papers? Filing today, he replied. But Daniel, Rebecca's attorney reached out. She's claiming you withdrew funds illegally. I snorted. Half the funds from a joint account isn't illegal. The other accounts are separate. Smart move, Milton said. Have you secured all valuables from the home? Handling that today, I confirmed. After hanging up, I approached Tom, our sales director. Need your help with something personal. 2 hours later, Tom and I had moved my gun collection, family heirlooms, and important documents to a storage unit. As we finished, my phone buzzed with a call from the dealership's security company. Mr. Foster, we've got an incident at your location. I raced back to find Rebecca's BMW parked sideways across 3 spaces. Inside, she was screaming at Jenny, who stood calmly behind the reception desk. Where is he? Rebecca demanded, mascara streaking down her face. She whirled when she heard my footsteps. Daniel, tell this little secretary to mind her own business. That's enough, I said firmly. You're making a scene in my place of business. Your place? She scoffed. Half of this is mine too, remember? I stepped closer, keeping my voice low. Not according to the paperwork Dad filed last year. Foster and Sons is exactly that. No wives included. Her face went slack with shock, then contorted with rage. You can't do this to me. You did this to yourself, I corrected. Now leave before I have security escort you out. This isn't over, she hissed, grabbing her purse. Blackwood has connections. You'll regret crossing us. I laughed coldly. Blackwood won't stick around once he realizes you're not getting a penny from me. As she stormed out, Jenny approached cautiously. Boss? Your father called? Said an appraisal company contacted him about the house? My jaw tightened. Rebecca was moving fast, trying to force a sale of our home. Two could play that game. I called Mark. I need a favor. Surveillance on Blackwood development. I want to know what he's up to. Already on it, Mark replied. And Daniel? You should know. Blackwood has a history. 3 affairs with clients' wives in the last 2 years. Rebecca's not special to him. Something cold settled in my gut. Rebecca had thrown everything away for a man who collected conquests like trophies. Thanks, Mark, I said. I owe you. I stared out at the showroom floor where life somehow continued normally. A plan was forming in my mind. Not for revenge, but for justice. Rebecca and Blackwood thought they were untouchable. They were about to learn otherwise. Rebecca's attorney was a shark in Louboutin, Sharon Weiss, known for bleeding husbands dry. Our first mediation session was set for Friday, but Wednesday brought unexpected visitors to the dealership. I was with a customer when Jenny buzzed my office. Mr. Foster, there's a Jason Blackwood here to see you. Says it's important. My customer noticed my expression harden. Something wrong? Nothing I can't handle, I assured him. Jenny, put him in the conference room. Tell him I'll be there in 10. I finished the sale methodically, not rushing, despite the anger simmering under my skin. When I finally entered the conference room, Blackwood was examining our sales awards with disdain. Foster, he said, extending his hand as if we were business associates. I ignored it. What do you want, Blackwood? He smiled, adjusting his tailored suit. I thought we should talk, man to man. Clear the air. Nothing to clear, I replied, remaining standing as he took a seat. You slept with my wife. Now you're both dead to me. Blackwood chuckled. Look, what happened with Rebecca was unfortunate, but maybe we can reach an arrangement beneficial to everyone. I'm listening, I said, crossing my arms. Rebecca tells me you're being difficult about the divorce. Fighting the house sale, hiding assets. He leaned forward. I have a development breaking ground next month. Prime location. I could offer you exclusive rights to open a dealership there. Very favorable terms. I stared at him. You're trying to bribe me? I'm offering a business opportunity, he corrected smoothly. In exchange for your cooperation with Rebecca's requests? I laughed, genuinely amused. Let me get this straight. You sleep with my wife, and now you're offering me scraps from your table to make your life easier? His smile tightened. I wouldn't call a multi-million-dollar opportunity scraps. I would. I moved toward the door. And just so we're clear, I'm not selling the house. I'm not giving Rebecca a dime more than legally required, and I'm certainly not doing business with you. Blackwood's facade cracked. Don't be stupid, Foster. I can crush your little family business. Try it, I challenged, opening the door. By the way, I've got a meeting next week with the zoning board. Seems there might be issues with your new development's permits. His face paled. What are you talking about? Amazing what you learn when you're best friends on the force, I said casually. Those expedited permits you paid for? Might not be so legal after all. You're bluffing, he said, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Maybe. I shrugged. Or maybe I'm just getting started. Now get out of my dealership. After he left, my father appeared in the doorway. Was that Blackwood I saw leaving? I nodded, straightening my tie. He won't be back. Dad clapped my shoulder. Good, because the board called. They want to meet about those irregularities in Blackwood's permit applications. For the first time in days, I smiled genuinely. The tables were turning. The zoning board meeting was set for Monday, but Saturday morning brought an unexpected visitor to my temporary apartment. I was just finishing my morning run when I spotted Megan, Rebecca's assistant, waiting by my door. Daniel, she called, looking nervous. Can we talk? I wiped sweat from my face, wary. If Rebecca sent you, she didn't, Megan interrupted. She'd kill me if she knew I was here. I unlocked the door, gesturing her inside. Coffee? Please, she said, perching awkwardly on my couch. I don't know how to say this, so I'll just show you. She pulled out her phone and navigated to what looked like a private Instagram account. Rebecca made this a year ago. It's where she connects with certain men. I took the phone, my stomach turning as I scrolled through photos of my wife with different men. Some I recognized from work events, others complete strangers. The captions were suggestive, boasting about conquest while carefully avoiding any mention of being married. How long has this been going on? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Since before I started working for her, Megan admitted. About 18 months. 18 months. While I was working overtime, building our future, Rebecca had been systematically betraying me. Why show me this now? I asked, handing the phone back. Megan sighed. Because she's planning something. I overheard her in Blackwood yesterday. They're trying to force you to sell the dealership. How? Blackwood has connections at Phoenix United Bank. He's pressuring them to call in the business loan your father took out for the new service center. Cold rage filled me. Thank you for telling me, Megan. After she left, I called my father. Without explaining how I knew, I warned him about the loan. Then I called Milton. Brian, I need everything you can find on Jason Blackwood. Business dealings, finances, legal history, everything. Already on it, Milton replied. And Daniel? Judge Carlton is presiding over your case. Old school, tough on infidelity. Rebecca's shark won't find many sympathizers there. Monday morning, I arrived at the zoning board meeting early. Blackwood swaggered in with his attorney, faltering slightly when he saw me. Foster, he nodded tersely, didn't expect to see you here. Wouldn't miss it, I replied calmly. The meeting began, and Blackwood's confident smirk faded as the board raised questions about irregularities in his permit applications. When they mentioned an anonymous tip about bribes to expedite approvals, Blackwood shot me a venomous glare. This is a witch hunt, he protested. My permits are in order. The chairwoman peered over her glasses. Then you won't mind if we conduct a full review. In the meantime, all construction is suspended. Blackwood confronted me in the hallway afterward. You think you've won? This is a minor setback. I smiled. Maybe, or maybe it's the beginning of the end for Blackwood development. You have no idea who you're messing with, he threatened. Actually, I do, I replied, taking out my phone to show him the screenshots from Rebecca's secret account. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. A man who preys on married women and bribes officials. Wonder what the Arizona Business Journal would think about that for their Entrepreneur of the Year profile? Blackwood's face drained of color. What do you want? Back off, I said simply. From me, from my business, from my divorce proceedings, or these go public. As I walked away, I felt no triumph, just resolve. This wasn't about revenge, it was about protection. The photograph landed on the front page of the business section on Thursday. Jason Blackwood being escorted from his office by police, face gray with shock. The caption read, "Developer questioned in corruption investigation." Rebecca called within minutes, her voice shrill with panic. What did you do? I didn't do anything, I replied truthfully. The zoning board did their job. Don't play innocent, she snapped. Jason says you're behind this. Jason's drowning and looking for someone to blame, I said. Maybe you should worry about yourself instead. What's that supposed to mean? It means our hearing is tomorrow, I reminded her, and I have evidence of your extracurricular activities. 18 months worth. Silence, then a whispered, you're bluffing. Ask Megan, I suggested. She might have some insights. The line went dead. An hour later, Jenny buzzed my office. Boss? Megan Wilson is here to see you. Says it's urgent. Megan looked terrified as she rushed in. Rebecca fired me. She found out I showed you the Instagram account. I sighed. I'm sorry, Megan. That's on me. No, she insisted. I chose to do the right thing, but now she's threatening to blacklist me in real estate. How would you like a job here, I offered. We need someone to manage our client relations department. Relief flooded her face. Seriously? I don't know anything about cars. You know about people, I pointed out. The rest you can learn. After Megan left to fill out paperwork with HR, Mark called with news. Blackwood's singing like a canary, he reported. Turns out your wife's boyfriend has been bribing officials for years. And guess what? Rebecca's name came up. My grip tightened on the phone. How? She facilitated some of his meetings with city officials, Mark explained. Used her real estate connections to arrange private showings at empty properties, where no actual property was discussed. I closed my eyes. Is she facing charges? Not yet, Mark said, but the DA wants to talk to her. The next morning, I walked into family court alone. Milton was already there, organized and confident. Rebecca arrived late with a new attorney. Sharon Weiss was notably absent. Ms. Weiss had a conflict, the new lawyer explained apologetically to the judge. Judge Carlton nodded skeptically. Let's proceed. The hearing was mercifully brief. When Milton presented evidence of Rebecca's infidelity, financial misconduct, and possible involvement in Blackwood's corruption, her attorney requested a recess to reassess their position. In the hallway, Rebecca approached me, her designer outfit unable to hide her desperation. "Daniel," she began, voice honeyed, "this has gotten out of hand. We both made mistakes." "No," I corrected her. "You made mistakes. I made a life for us that you threw away." She reached for my arm. "We could start over. Blackwood means nothing to me." I stepped back. "Neither do I, Rebecca. That's the difference." Her face hardened. "You'll regret this. Nobody walks away from me." "Actually," I said, checking my watch, "I'm the one walking away, and it feels long overdue." 6 weeks after the hearing, I stood in the courtroom as Judge Carlton finalized our divorce. Rebecca sat across the aisle, subdued in a conservative navy suit, a far cry from her usual flashy style. "The court finds in favor of the petitioner," Judge Carlton announced. "Mr. Foster retains full ownership of the family business and primary residence. Ms. Foster receives the agreed-upon settlement." That settlement was far less than Rebecca had demanded, but more than she deserved, enough for a fresh start somewhere else. Her attorney looked relieved just to be done with the case. Outside the courtroom, Rebecca approached me. The arrogance was gone from her face, replaced by something like resignation. "It didn't have to end this way," she said quietly. "Yes, it did," I replied. "The moment you decided our vows meant nothing." She glanced down at her ringless finger. "What happens to Jason wasn't my fault." "No one said it was," I pointed out. "But you chose to align yourself with a corrupt man." "That was your decision." Rebecca's eyes flashed momentarily. "And you chose to destroy him." "The law destroyed him," I corrected. "I just made sure the truth came to light." She searched my face. "Did you ever really love me, Daniel?" "Completely," I answered honestly. "That's why this hurts." She nodded, tears finally breaking through her composed exterior. "I'm moving to California. My sister offered me a place to stay until I get back on my feet." "Good luck, Rebecca," I said, meaning it. As she walked away, Mark appeared at my side. "You okay?" "Getting there," I replied. "What's the latest on Blackwood?" "Plea deal," Mark confirmed. "Reduced sentence in exchange for naming names. Your ex-wife isn't implicated. Seems she was just arm candy, not an accomplice." I nodded, feeling a complex mix of relief and sadness. Despite everything, I hadn't wanted to see Rebecca in handcuffs. We walked out into the bright Arizona sunshine, the future stretching before me like an open road. "The dealership expansion's on track," Mark commented. "Your dad says sales are up 20% this quarter." I smiled. "People like buying cars from businesses that aren't mired in scandal." "Speaking of business," Mark continued, "that new client relations manager you hired is making waves. Megan's transformed your customer service." "She deserved a second chance," I said. "We all do." As we reached my truck, Mark hesitated. "Listen, a bunch of us are heading to Jackson's tonight. You should come. Kate's bringing her sister, the kindergarten teacher I told you about." For a moment, old fears flickered. Trust didn't come easy anymore. But then again, neither did healing if you never took chances. "Yeah," I decided. "I'll be there." I drove home, my home now, free of Rebecca's ghost, feeling lighter than I had in months. The betrayal would always be part of my story, but it wouldn't define my future. That was mine to build one day at a time. 1 year after that fateful night at Dave Wilson's party, I stood at the podium accepting the Chamber of Commerce's Business Leadership Award. The applause was warm, the recognition sweeter for knowing how close I'd come to losing everything. "Thank you," I told the gathered crowd. "Foster and Sons has always been about family and community. That will never change even as we grow." From the front table, my father nodded proudly. Beside him sat Sarah, the kindergarten teacher who had somehow broken through my walls over the past 6 months. She wasn't Rebecca, flashy, dramatic, demanding attention. Sarah was steady, kind, genuine in ways I'd forgotten people could be. After the ceremony, we walked along the river that cut through downtown Phoenix. "Congratulations, Mr. Business Leader," Sarah teased. "Your head still fit through doorways?" I laughed, taking her hand. "Barely. You'll have to keep me humble." "That's a full-time job," she replied, squeezing my fingers. We stopped at the railing, watching the water reflect the city lights. I saw Rebecca's new real estate ads in the San Diego papers, Sarah mentioned casually. Good for her, I said, surprised to find I meant it. She always did land on her feet. Sarah studied my face. Does it bother you, seeing her move on? I thought about it honestly. What happened was painful, but necessary. I wouldn't have what I have now otherwise. And what exactly do you have now? She asked, eyes twinkling. I pulled her closer. A business I'm proud of, peace of mind, and someone who sees me for who I really am. Later that night, driving home to the house I'd rebuilt in my own image, Rebecca's ornate decorations replaced with comfortable masculine simplicity, I reflected on the journey. The pain had been real, the betrayal cutting deeper than I'd imagined possible. But the man who emerged from that fire was stronger, wiser, and surprisingly more compassionate. I'd learned that dignity isn't about never falling, it's about how you rise again. That true strength isn't displayed in moments of victory, but in how you handle defeat. And most importantly, that some things break so that better things can be built in their place. As I pulled into my driveway, I smiled at the sight of Sarah's car already parked there. The porch light was on, welcoming me home. Not to the past I'd lost, but to the future I'd chosen. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well.